Hello, everyone. I am Brayden Currin, and I'm here with my father, Matt Currin. And today we're going to talk about Convene communities. Specifically, we're going to talk about what is Convene, where did it come from. We're going to talk a little bit about just how long we've been at this monumental project, and then also a little bit about where we're at now, what separates Convene from other platforms, and then also where do we see the whole thing heading. So.
Yeah.
I'm going to kick it off by just asking, what is Convene and where did it all come from?
So where did it come from? Let me start with that, because it really, if you go back to 2001, I was a Marine Corps aviator, a pilot, and I lost one of my good friends in a helicopter mishap. And I won't really dive deep into the mishap, but it was a 12-second human error. And from that human error, 3 Marines lost their lives. And what the hard part for me was to find out a couple of days later is that another mishap had happened in another squadron a year and a half prior. And what had happened in that squadron? A similar mishap. Yeah. They had a hard landing. Nobody died. Nobody was injured. But there was an aircraft part that was a 6 cents fix. Literally, it can be fixed in less than a minute. But that particular squadron kept that information and didn't share that knowledge outside of their building, their squadron. And unfortunately, what happened that night is they made a 12-second, like I said, human error by turning a red cockpit dome light on, and they flew the helicopter right into the water. So from that point on, I really kind of made it somewhat of a mission of mine to go out and talk about decision making, human error, how we make decisions, and really kind of, really try to help people out of not making the same mistakes over and over and over in life, or to make good decisions over, whatever it is. It's because my belief that we really learn as humans, we learn how to make decisions through experience. The more we do things, the better we get at making decisions. And it's like if you were to ask me a question, you just got out of college, starting work and doing all that. And if you were to say, hey, Dad, how did you do it? And I'm going to tell you how I did it based off my experience, right? So that's kind of where it came from, about sharing experiences, sharing your knowledge with others for the betterment. And so that's what Convene is. Convene is communities of like-minded individuals who come together and share their experiences, share their knowledge with others for the good of others. The thing is that that can be in anything. What you're interested in might not be the same thing that I'm interested in. And so there's different communities with different community leaders, with different group leaders, people who bring their own expertise and their own stories and their own, content to Convene, and they use it as a platform.
And it could be anything, right? Like, give us some examples.
So examples, you are a college soccer player. There's a community that's based off Convene soccer. There is a Convene wellness community in that. I just did a great interview. It's a podcast that we just posted with Patty Moeller. She's a counselor. She's an author. She's a speaker. She's using Convene in the Convene group feature to really promote her book, allow people to buy her book, and then come back in and go through it chapter by chapter, and draw their own conclusions and share them with others. There's there's music, there's a ton of communities in there,
First responders,
sports. There's just no end to it,
So how long have you and I guess other folks as well, just how long have we been at this?
Yeah. So the way it was really kind of talked about was originally I was sitting in a restaurant talking to a gentleman, and I said, as a Marine Corps aviator, I would like to create a website where people can share their lessons learned and going back to the mishap. So that was 2009 timeframe. So it's been 10 years, over 10 years that we've been at this, creating this, and what Convene has become. This is probably our 4th iteration of what Convene is. And, it first started out, we just did business to business stuff. So
Right.
large corporations like Pacific Gas and Electric on the West Coast used it to train their individuals on lessons learned. It is a scenario-based training type tool from what I did in the Marine Corps. That's how we learn.
Mm-hmm.
We don't go out and just jump into a mission. We rehearse, we go through it. Well, that's life,
Right.
you do that in life. So it's been 10 years that we're at it. Fourth iteration. We have, we call it version 4.0. We have a great team of programmers. We have a support team of website people, marketing, business strategists, all those different things that are built in to help us grow and do what we're doing now.
Awesome. Yeah. So where are we at now? Where's the app at, and where is Convene just as a collective organization?
Yeah.
Where are we at now?
So we took our time. We really took our time, and we wanted to make sure that everything was in place. When you're building a platform, it's always 80% complete. We'll constantly be adding things to it and making it better. Just when I think we have it perfect, there's nothing else we can add, somebody will bring something up, or our programmers will say, hey, we could do this, and we kind of change it. For example, an example would that be, we just made our testing functionality in it better, where you can do pre-test, post-test, scramble the questions, all kinds of things, but pull data on the backside of it. So we're constantly making things better, but it's ready to go. So we took our time in the testing process, because one of the reasons why we stopped the version 3.0 is because it wasn't scalable to get as big as we wanted it to, and we think it's going to. So we really kind of stopped and built it back up and did a solid testing process to make sure when people are out there using it, they're not getting problems, they're not getting errors, or having anything like that go on. So we're ready to grow, and that's where I was getting at earlier. We have people coming in, from different areas of their different interests, that are starting to build communities, starting to build their groups, starting to put the content in, starting to sell their content. So, 2020, we're excited, and we're ready to just make things go.
We're beginning to see, the domino effect, or the fire start to catch, if you will, which is really, really exciting. Something we haven't seen really up until, recently.
Yeah, up until recently.
So what are a few things that separate Convene or distinguish Convene from other platforms that are similar? You might say Facebook, YouTube.
Yeah. So that's one thing that's important. We are not Facebook. We are not YouTube. We are not Instagram. We are not LinkedIn. I can go down the list. The reality of it is Convene is an application that allows you to connect, communicate, and collaborate. That's kind of what we call it. It's an ecosystem that allows you to. There's so much functionality to it. It's really kind of hard to get into it. But some of the things that makes it different than others is our functionality of like groups, the grouping feature. And you might say, well, Facebook has groups and Facebook has private groups, but this is your group and you can manage that group. For example, we have nonprofits that use Convene to manage their nonprofits. We have teams that use Convene to manage their soccer team or their cheerleading team. So it can be used in however you see fit, but it's also a learning management system. It's also a training tool, right? So you can put syllabi in there and training syllabus. So where if you are training your people, like for example, the nonprofit Yoke Fellow Ministries is using it to train all of their volunteers. They're a nonprofit that works in prisons in North Carolina. So they have private group, they have subgroups in there where they can train their people. One of the things is you can also have a premier group. What's a premier group? That is where you set your price of what you want to sell your content for, and then you sell your content within Convene. So, and then if you choose to be a part of, we have a referral program. If you choose to give a referral piece to that, then you'll have an army of affiliates that go out and try to sell your content. So there's so much in there that really that sets us apart. We don't want to be, compared to Facebook. We don't want to be, compared to these. That's not what we are. We've tried to take the functionality of all these places and bring it into one spot. Nobody will ever compare to YouTube, and video is a huge portion of what we do within Convene that people can use to do within Convene. Well, use YouTube to house your content. You don't need to use, Convene. We
Right.
don't house that video.
Right. But you can bring your videos and plug it in,
Exactly. We'll teach you, part of the things we'll do, we'll teach you how to, if you don't have a YouTube page, we'll teach you how to create a YouTube page, and we'll teach you how to, import that into an experience or into a group.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Well, so what do you see, or what do we see rather, happening in 2020, or what's the vision for this next year and maybe moreover the next 5-10?
Yeah. So one of the things that's really kind of exciting is with this momentum that we're gathering, and people look at community leaders looking at Convene as a Convene community. If you're a community leader, it is a business center for you. So for example, there's some communities out of Northwest Florida, for example, Trailblazers, Dr. Kim Bynum, April Caldwell, Grayson Marshall Jr., who is a former college athlete at Clemson, a Hall of Famer for the ACC. So we have, for example, we have an event down there at the end of January 31st, February 1st. There's people already coming from Michigan and different places. So our goal is to keep having these events in different places where we bring people in and we show them the goodness of Convene. We teach them about Convene, and we actually will help them set up their own groups, within Convene if they want us to. So that growth process has started. That's excited. We're already starting to set one up for North Carolina, and a couple of months later than that. The goal at the end of the year is to have a big event where we're bringing people from all over, together in one spot, and not only just talking about the communities and how to set up, but we may go and find people who have shared their story within Convene and ask them to be a speaker at that event, because we truly believe that, it's my personal thing that Convene is meant to help change lives or help people, right? That's just one of the things that's on me, because I think that we learn through each other's experience, right? So there's people that, being a counselor, have my master's in counseling, there's people that come into Convene that share their stories about their struggles with alcoholism, depression, all those different things. Well, how do they do that, right? People just don't want to come out and say that. There's an anonymity piece within Convene. So the point is that people are starting to come. In 2020, we're starting to grow. We're starting to set up events, but we're not there yet. So we have to make a constant effort to really educate people about Convene, train people how to use Convene, and give them the flexibility to take the resource and use it in whatever way that they want to. Because the way you might want to use it, it's not how I want to use it. Right. I might want to sell content. You might want to coach a soccer team, and just use it that way and all that. So there's so much flexibility to it. It's just to streamline that message and help people learn what it's all about.
Well, we've covered a lot. Anything else you want to add today?
No, I think the main thing is that, hey, we're growing. We want people to come on board, and we want people to really learn what Convene is. Learn that it really is a simple platform once you get on it. Sometimes there's so much functionality that, you're like, oh my God, this could be overwhelming. Some people may want to create content. Some people might want to just come in and take experiences.
Interact with the content.
Interact with other people. Some people might want to make an income and by sharing other people's content that's on it. They don't want to create their own content. They want to share people's content because, they might know somebody who might need a course or is looking for a course in whatever community that they're in. So there's so much flexibility within Convene. My thing is just come check us out at convenecommunities.com. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, all these different things, and, help us grow. And if you have an idea, you have a content, you don't see a community that you see there that you like, we're always looking for community leaders.
Reach out. We will. We'd love to, anybody out there, if you have a following, if you have content, if you want to begin to create content, we'd love to work with you. We'd love to have, or if, like you said, if anybody just wants to jump on and be, interact user, we'd love to have you jump aboard with us.
I think the last thing I'll point out is this platform is built for anybody like YouTubers, podcasters, bloggers, authors, coaches, counselors, small business. Again, people can find their own way to use it. But like you just said, if you have a following, what Convene does is takes that one-way communication and turns it into a two-way communication, a back and forth, and
continuing the conversation.
Yeah, continuing the conversation.
Awesome. Well, again, visit us at convenecommunities.com. Check us out on social media. Better yet, reach out to us and directly, and we'd love to continue the conversation with you all. So thanks so much for joining.
Thank you.